All right. So, excommunicated for wanting females to have the priesthood and for being a gay advocate. That was a headline in the New York Times, something similar to that. There's a girl, Katie Kelly, who's pushing a website called Ordain Women. And there's another guy named John Dehlin, who is an advocate of all things informational about Mormons. And anyways, the two are very active and boisterous in their opinions about church and things, and very active in the media. Particularly Katie Kelly, she's kind of a self-proclaimed leader of this movement, and if you look at the New York Times article, she had them change the article heading from co-founder to founder, make sure that she is known to be the founder. Anyway, so kind of the gist of this whole situation is back in April, there's a meeting called the General Priesthood Meeting. It's a meeting for just like the men of the church, and the week prior, there's a meeting that's just for the women of the church. But Katie Kelly and a couple hundred of people that follow her, they wanted to go to the men-only meeting, so they did a protest, basically, saying, let us in, let us in. And also not only to the meeting, but also to hold what's known as the priesthood in general. It was addressed in the meeting how women do hold priesthood, or are able to act under the priesthood authority, but not to exercise the keys. So that was interesting. But anyways, main point of the story is the First Presidency and or the church said, hey, don't make Temple Square a public place of demonstration. Leave Temple Square, you can demonstrate outside the walls, do whatever, but leave Temple Square a place of peace and not a place just to, shoot off your own agenda. And she ignored them and did it anyway. So obviously that didn't sit well with many people, including apparently her bishop and her stake president, because they called her in for a disciplinary council. And then related and or unrelated, John Dehlin, he has been teeter-tottering throughout his recent life and or life within Mormonism as to what is true, what isn't true, what he can buy into and believe, and what he cannot. And so he is very boisterous on these things, and has helped me understand a lot of things more in depth. So I enjoy his learning from him, but I can imagine a lot of people have lost their testimonies also from listening to him. So I wouldn't say it's for the faint of heart. And I'm sorry if this camera keeps jiggling. I'm resting it on my chest today. So when I take breaths, it goes up and down. Anyways, so John Dehlin, yeah, so he's interviewed a lot of people, particularly people that have left the church or opposed the church, and I find him very interesting. I don't know, there's Sean McCraney, he's like a self-proclaimed anti-Mormon. He was interviewed by John Dehlin, and it was interesting just to see Sean McCraney's lighter side and the happy side and the friendly Mormon-y side of him versus his Hellfire and Damnation side of his Heart of the Matter show. Anyways, these are all, there's so much truth in the church, but there's also a lot of places that people love to hone in and attack, and usually those places that they're attacking have very little or nothing to do with doctrine or what we really believe and teach. Just I don't know, I'd say a lot of the time they focus on things that aren't taught at all. So John Dehlin, he interviews a lot of these different people that oppose the church, and he is a self-proclaimed gay, I don't know if gay marriage is advocate, but at least a gay advocate, which is definitely not a bad thing. He did, sorry. So yeah, he did a TED Talk a TEDx talk up at, I think it was Utah State. Maybe, no, it was UVU, maybe. I want to say Utah State because I know he lives in Logan, so it'd make more sense. But I'm not sure. UVU or Utah State. Anyways, you can look up the TED Talk, and it was really good. It's about how he's being an advocate for homosexuals and especially to not let them or have them commit suicide, because that's obviously a horrible thing, and we want to let them feel loved as possible. Anyways, both of them received letters, I think within like a week of each other, that they needed to go to disciplinary council, and all that really means is that they need to go talk to the bishop and to the stake president and some other people, and tell them what's going on with their beliefs and such. And I guess John Dehlin had said something in a recent podcast that made people wonder whether or not he still believed in Mormonism. And obviously, if you don't believe in Mormonism anymore, then they kind of take you off the records and say you're not a Mormon anymore. Because to be one, you have to believe it. And so both of these, Katie Kelly and John Dehlin, received letters, and John Dehlin says, "Oh, I want to be a member. I've been through disciplinary council like 3 times before, and I was past, I got through them all and just told them what I was doing and what I was thinking, and was able to baptize my son or whatever." So there you have that. And then Katie Kelly says that she can't make it to her disciplinary council because it's in where she just moved from, and I'm sure they'll figure out some way to accommodate, but I guess if she can't attend and can't kind of explain what's going on, they assume that she's an apostate member or trying to leave the church, and so they just help her out more or less. But I think that they'll figure out a way to understand one another. I think she was asked to take down her website and to disassociate herself from teaching false doctrine, essentially, and she decided not to. So that's when they decided to hold the disciplinary council, which is to discuss with her, hey, if you're not going to listen to the church leaders, or you're not going to follow the prophet, as it were, then why are you wanting to be a Mormon? You're kind of contradicting yourself there. So there's a lot of heat with certain groups. There was a Pew poll in 2011 that 90%, I think, of church members, or 90% of females, didn't want it. But that's all we got for tonight. So I hope you have a good night. We'll talk to you later. So in conclusion, I really feel that John Dehlin is sincere and wants to see real change, wants to see real growth happen in the church. He wants people to understand doctrines, to understand inconvenient truths of the church's past. On the other hand, I do feel that there are a lot of sincere followers of the ordained women movement, but I don't know about the Katie Kelly thing. I definitely get a vibe from her that she really likes the self-aggrandizing and the spotlight, as it were. She likes to be seen, and I guess the very fact that she sent in her letter to the New York Times is kind of evidence of that. So, can I judge their hearts? No. But I definitely feel that I resonate more fully with John Dehlin's approach at understanding history and to bring about positive change within the Mormon culture in general. So I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything he does, but I do feel that he is sincere in what he's doing, and I don't feel that he seeks the spotlight, but it comes to him because there are truths there that he does bring out. So keep up your studies, keep up your searching. Obviously, the best place for truth and understanding of what the church really does teach is Mormon.org. I will keep posting what I can and answering your questions, and I probably should do more ignoring of those who are negative. So have a good night, have a good day, have a good morning, have a good evening, have a good night again, and we will see you on the flip side.